T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fuck to Westport!
Woohoo! We are back with another episode of the best grow show ever! Woo! What's up, Holla? How you doing today?
8 seconds off. I tried to time it where my bong it would come out with the fucking intro. It's 8 seconds. My timing was off. So close. I guess I'll take another one.
I've heard that. You're not able to hold it. No. Oh, shoot. If you guys knew what we were talking about before we started this show, you might laugh a little bit. So that's a teaser. Something coming up with my man Holla, and I see my man. Fucking hell, Magpie. You probably just got me striked for swearing already, but I saw Chad and Berner holding hands walking through the Tenderloin district, and they even kissed. Mr. Magpie, you know what? I will go ahead and share the joke that I just shared with freaking Holla about you, Mr. Magpie. So let's try this again. Everybody in chat, help me out. Why is it illegal to do reverse cowgirl in Canada? Because you're not allowed to turn your back on family. Ba-bing! There you go, Mr. Magpie. Love you. Looking forward to the battle, buddy. And for everybody else joining us, I hope you're having a wonderful day, a good Saturday afternoon, and this is the Best Crow Show. And again, because you can't just give yourself a title, it's like giving yourself a trophy. You just can't do it. Or a nickname. You don't give yourself a nickname either. So I went out, and this week I talked to finger painters, and 9 out of 10 finger painters said this is the Best Grow Show, and we got Holwachagot. So, dude, thank you for coming.
Dude.
Thank you for joining.
You may not know this, Chad, but so do 9 out of 10 cockerels.
Oh, shoot. I don't even know what
I asked my cock what the Best Crow Show ever was. That's what he said. That's what he told me. Yep.
It's official. It's official.
Yep.
It is the Best Grow Show. And
he told me.
we talk about,
yep.
we talk about plants. We give away beans. We have a fun time. And thank you, everybody in chat, for joining. And yes, J5. Damn, Canadians are freaky, eh?
And by the way, the conversation we had beforehand, the other more serious conversation, is the reason this isn't already in your hands. I meant to have these stickers in your hands to give out on your show. Because I am never again signing up for the responsibility of mailing all the free shit out. I don't mind giving it away, but I'm not mailing it.
Yeah, I don't blame
Somebody
you.
else's job from now on.
Oh, it turns into a task. I'm looking for your stickers. I kept one set. Damn it. Oh well, I'll find them later, right?
I'm got more coming to you.
Yeah, I kept one set, but I always, I like to get those out too. When Tony, Boneyard Seeds NorCal, he has been a great person for. Yep, right there. Oh, that's Twin Peaks right there. Hello. He gives away a lot of free beans. And last time he sent me some of your stickers with the package of beans. So I've been giving those out to all the prize winners on this show. And I guess since we're 10 minutes into it and we haven't even started a topic yet, let's give away some seeds to the early bird.
Let's do it.
I always like the early birds. Early birds rock. And we'll do a few more throughout the show. But let me bring up the StreamYard giveaway tool here. I hope everybody in chat, again, you're having an awesome day. We're going to have fun on this one. We're going to talk about growing. And I'd also love to see what you guys want to hear in the chat. And if you think that joke is true. And I just want to preface all my Canadian jokes that they are not aimed at Canada. They are aimed directly at Mr. Magpie and Mr. Magpie alone.
That's
so
right.
Canada, I love you. You bring me ketchup chips. I played hockey growing up, and you have the best Lipton iced tea. So what can I say? Tim Hortons too. I mean, shit. Tim Hortons? Come on. That's the best stuff. All right. So holla, I am going to put that up as the word. Oh, I should probably tell people what we're playing for first. Pack number one, the giveaway for today is going to be from Twin Peaks Cannabis. And this is going to be the Chad.
Oh, hell yeah.
Is the Westport grape juice times Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is from Lucky Dog Seed Co., Skunk VA. It is the Chem 91 BX2 times Chem Sis. I bought a pack from him. It was regulars. I got males. I got females. I wanted to open pollinate it because when you open pollinate a population like that, you might be able to find plants that lean one way or the other. And Chem 91 is one of my favorites. So I open pollinated. I wanted to look for some plants that are Chem 91 dominant, but still have some of that Westport grape juice in it. So that's what these are. And I will bring up the screen. If you are US only, please US only for right now. Go ahead and in the chat, we're going to have you type holla.
Nice.
Or hola, depends on how you pronounce it. But it was funny, holla, because when I'm typing your name in here, I'm all, Hall, what you got? I always thought it was holla, what you got, because I always call you holla. So we were talking nicknames earlier. Yeah, you can't give your own nickname. So how did holla, what you got come about?
Whole what you got.
Whole what you got. Whole what you got.
Mm-hmm. Hold what you got.
I'm grabbing my junk.
That's right. Something like that.
So, okay, okay. Oh, you were meaning something else.
It wasn't meaning grabbing my junk, but it would just mean the term "hold what you got" was just a saying you used to hear as a kid from people all the time. Not people all the time, but a few people that were in my direct circle.
So I grew up around Tennessee, and our saying was "no win hold'em" and "no win fold'em," right? Little Kenny Rogers for your Saturday afternoon.
You grew up in Tennessee?
I did live in Tennessee for a while, right near Memphis too. Dolly Parton, the Grand Ole Opry. I've been to Elvis's house.
Dolly is a national treasure.
She is. Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Oh, that brings me to a completely inappropriate joke, which I will tell on the other show on the other channel. So we'll save that one. We will save that. Oh, God. All right. So everybody's getting a holla in there. I appreciate that. We'll leave this open for just a couple minutes while we BS, and then we'll dive into some of our fun, gross talk. But what were you puffing on this morning, Holla?
Just now, 44 dogs.
44 dogs. Now that is from, is that Boneyard Seed Co.?
That's from Tone. That's from Unc, and it
Okay.
is. The plant that I was puffing on today was the one I grew inside of a stump outside this summer, and it is fantastic.
Tell me about the inside of a stump. Did you just an old stump? Did you actually put soil in there? Was it like a volunteer seed? How did a stump plant come about?
One of my experiments, and I took some spent mushroom blocks and I put them inside the middle of the hollowed out stump. The stump already had turkey tail growing on the outside of it. It's been in the garden for a couple years, and then I set this. So I guess it's a one quart black fabric container with a pretty nice 44 dogs plant into the top of the stump, and I just kind of going to see what happened with it, and it grew straight. I'll have to take out and show you. It grew straight through the container though. Like,
oh wow.
I did a bunch of containers outside this summer where I left them in the root restricted fabric pot to try to make them start flowering earlier. I was trying to get them to finish earlier just to see if it would work, and it did. It made them. It sent them into flowering well ahead of what they would have done if they were directly into the into the ground. So
right. Well, that's cool. That's fun, man. I enjoy that type of experimentation. And, when you're able to find the right screen, we can have an effective show. Hey-oh, there we go. No, I love that experimentation because a lot of times, we may have extra seeds, particularly if you're making your own seeds. You have that little curiosity light bulb go off in the back of your head and you're able to try it. And it's nice because you don't really have, neighbors that are looking over the fence like 5 feet away. You're able to do a little bit more freely out there, which is kind of a dream of mine. I'd love to grow outdoors, but it's a challenge at this time of year. So December 9th, has everything come inside yet? Or are there still those like, I'm a haze plant, I want to go to January?
I whacked everything because, I have stuff outside, but it's in veg. It has supplemental lighting on, and it's under hoops, and it's just basically seeing what can make it through these the cold nights and the condensation fluctuations and stuff like that. And some of it acts like it doesn't even mind being there. Some of it acts like this is great,
Right. It's kind of crazy to see those outliers, the ones that were like, you should be dead by now, but you're loving it.
You're in, like, you look better than you did in the spring. Exactly. So last year I had a little, I was going to do a little sea of green outside in one of the little mini greenhouses.
Okay.
And I'm doing the same thing again right now. I'm doing the same thing. But as I had a little bit of an interruption last week, as I told you, but I'm trying to do the same thing outside, do a little sea of green and do small containers and then just pull a tarp. But right now you don't even have to pull tarps because it flowers automatically. You just have to turn the light off. You just have to keep a supplemental light in there until you want them to veg, or flip or whatever. So
yeah. All right, I'm gonna write that down because I want to come back to supplemental lighting and autos. Let's go ahead and do this draw real quick. First one of the episode. Obviously, we've got a lot more coming. Again, US only. Good luck, everybody. And if you are the winner, just let us know in chat. Yep, you're US only. You can get a hold of me through Instagram. That is down in the show notes. I have Holwachagot's YouTube channel down in the show notes, so you can start giving that a follow as well. But let's go ahead and hit the wheel. 106. Holy crap, you guys are awesome. That is a lot more people than we normally have, so I'm very thankful everybody showed up. R. McNasty, what's up, R. McNasty? Oh, you sound like a hidden menu item on McDonald's. R. McNasty. I like it. Let's see, the Chad, that's what you have won. I'm writing that down here, and just hit me up on Instagram, R. McNasty. To completely sidetrack and not talk about anything cannabis related here, did you see the new Cosmix? Like, it's McDonald's rebranded. They're trying to take on Starbucks. It's Cos, C-O-S, and then Mix. It's
No
fucking
way.
weird. Yeah, I don't know. All right.
That's new to me. I never heard of that. That's cool. It's brand
Yeah, that's okay. You don't. It's not good for your body, so nobody needs it. It was just something new I saw the other day. I'm like, good lord, what's next? McCookies?
new. Cosmics.
That was, who did it better, me or Macaulay Culkin? I don't know. Let me know in chat.
You for sure.
All right, so let's talk about some growing. So you're talking about outside. You have, a couple like greenhouses, some hoop houses. How did you go about like setting up supplemental lighting in these things? Because a lot of times there's no electricity that comes in the kit. So how does this work for you?
This is just literally 2 little 24-watt LED shop lights plugged into an extension cord that are just on, just to keep it, just to keep the plants awake for a couple hours, so they won't flower.
Right. Are you what is the time or sunlight like? Is it 12 right now, or is it even darker for longer than 12 hours right now?
It's pitch black dark right now already.
Holy crap.
Yep.
It's 5:30 almost your time.
Mm-hmm.
So that little bit of light just kind of keeps them going.
It keeps them from budding. It keeps them in veg. Yeah, literally. It doesn't those 2 little lights that I've got zip tied into the top of that particular little greenhouse. It won't keep all cultivars from flipping right now. Some cultivars are like, fuck that. That's not whatever. They ignore the little light. They pay attention to the sunlight only, like the sunlight, and they still flower. But so I went. But the main 2 I have under that little house right now, I particularly was trying to hold on to these 2 lifeguard plants that I have from Mr. Trees, because they're keepers for right now for sure. They're so I got those 2 in there. I got the 44 dogs in there. That is actually fine. It's revegged fine.
Okay.
What else? My memory's not right. I can't. My thought process. Trying to have a conversation is a little bit tricky. So I sound like a dingbat right now. But it's like, yeah.
You're fine, Hala. You're definitely fine, and the conversation is just casual and free flowing. And there's enough awesome stuff you do. You don't even have to talk. I'll just keep talking at you for 2 hours. So, and you mentioned too that the light, it doesn't keep all cultivars happy as far as from going into flower. And one thing that I tend to notice, and that you'll see a lot of times, and I usually see this earlier in the spring, like people will put out plants, they've started them inside and they put them outdoors because they're going to grow outdoors, but they put them out too
my internet
early.
blinked out for a second.
Oh, no worries. I thought you were just intently.
My internet blinked out for a second. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. I was just talking about
the internet was blinking out at the same time.
Sometimes and I was curious if you've seen this, later in the fall with that supplemental lighting. Again, not everyone wants to stay in the veg period, but I see this a lot in the spring when people will start their plants like indoors, like February, January, and then they put them outside in March. But March still has enough darkness that it's wanting to almost go into flower. And then within like 2 or 3 weeks, the lighting changes enough to where it starts to re-veg. And that's when you start seeing a lot of 3-fingered leaves. That's usually a sign your plant is re-vegging. So do you see the 3-finger leaves with those cultivars?
Even here, no matter what, like even if you do add supplemental lighting in the spring, so that you basically try to keep an 18/6 cycle, but that's you basically want to add light to keep them on for 18 hours to keep them from flipping, right? Well, even regardless, like say it's March, you've got 200 seedlings that you've popped, you've got the best ones that you're going to up pot, and it doesn't matter. Some of them, no matter what, when they as soon as they feel that March sun, doesn't matter if you add other light, doesn't matter if it's on 24 hours. Additionally, they still flip.
Oh wow.
Like into flower. They still try to flip. Like no matter what. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a spectrum thing or what. And it's not that way with everything either. Like it's some cuts don't do that, but some of them, and you can use it to your advantage. Let's say if you have one that does that or something like that. It's hard. Of course, it's hard from seed, but if you have one that plant that you could veg inside under artificial light and then just set outside and they'll automatically flip for you, even though the days are longer than for flower cycle. You can use that to your advantage too.
Yeah. And again, I'm not growing outdoors here. I wish I could. Just proximity to neighbors is one, but the weather patterns that I have here on the coast in Washington, it's very rainy. Last week we get these things. What they love, the news. Freaking the news loves anytime like something happens because they always call it like a weather event. And I'm like, where can I get tickets? Is there a front row? Is there backstage? Can I get the VIP? Will they sign my? But we had an atmospheric river last week where it's just normal. It rains for like 2 months straight, starting in September usually. So I'm not able to grow outdoors here. But if I did, the time that I can grow outdoors, my like window of good weather doesn't line up with daylight hours. Doesn't line up with the 12-12. So if I were to do that, autos. That is, time and a place for everything, right? That's a great time and a place to run some autos. If, outdoor was your only option. I know a lot of, go ahead.
The kind of thing I've been talking about, like moving stuff from inside to outside to get it to flip. And that kind of thing sounds like it would be something that would possibly work in your area for like backyard type growing. But because here most of the time, like over the last growing here for 30 years outside, most of the time it's been a failure. Almost every plant, it's been PM or bugs or something. Like that's just the way it is. It's not easy to which is kind of why I've been so fired up about the KNF, because like doing the KNF this season, I saw notable differences. I had no PM issues. I had no spider mite issues. I had none of these things that have always been a plague, like an absolute plague. And I didn't do the things that I would have told you before would have had to be done to prevent it. Like that's right. So there's I got a lot of questions, a lot more experiments I want to do. We're going to see, see if it was just luck or,
Well, that's kind of an awesome thing about experimenting. And one thing that I love about just gardening in general, it's another thing I love about music. And I assume you enjoy this about painting too. The more you learn, the more questions it leads to.
Learn the rules to break them. Like you're not breaking the rules if you don't know them. Like you can say you like breaking rules. Well, you can't break rules if you don't learn them first.
I seriously am like close to having that tattooed on my body. Background, everybody, I am an audio engineer by trade. Yes, I actually went to a college to learn audio engineering. It was great because it was in the late 90s, right when everybody was doing reel to reel, the big 2-inch tape you see in the big professional studios. But that's also when digital really started coming online. So we had 3 analog studios, we had 3 digital studios. I get so excited talking about audio engineering, I freaking forgot where I was going with that point. I don't know what you said before.
Learn the rules to break them on your body.
Thank you. Absolutely. That was the one thing that stuck with me most, even though I forgot it 20 seconds ago. But no, my instructor, he said my instructor was one of the most awesome guys. He, had recorded like Rod Stewart. He recorded a lot of like people in the 80s, and he had all these freaking like cool stories to tell about these people like Rod Stewart. If you ever soloed his voice on the board, which soloing just means dropping out every other track and solo his voice, you're fired. And he remembered when one intern like was playing around and tried it, and dude came in studio and freaked out. Anyways, my point though was like my instructor was awesome, man. He never had his shirt buttons like up past here. It was always like freaking open. He had that like fucking Holland Oates type haircut. He always had the scarf. He was a rad dude. But when it comes to audio, you have to know the rules before you can break the rules. And that's where we got a lot of like, I don't know if everybody in chat or listening is familiar with an effect called flange. Flange kind of makes things sound like it's underwater a little bit. But a flanger is a very, very common effect used on music. But it happened because a guy sat down next to the reel-to-reel and his butt actually touched it and it slowed it down for a second. They're like, whoa, wait a minute, what was that? Do it again. And then, you know, it's like you understood the rules of, I won't bore everybody with, you know, the difference between like delay, chorus, echo, and flange, because they're all related. But once you know the rules, you know how to break them to get any of them you want. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is so important. As a new grower, you're trying to learn all the rules, and that is good. You want to. But as you grow and get into this more, you discover that, hey, stress can be a really good thing for bringing out certain traits, maybe increased terpene profiles. There are certain stresses that are beneficial to the plant. But if you didn't know the rules of why that happens, as far as like what you're doing, then you're not going to know. So to your point, you absolutely have to know the rules before you can break the rules. And my example is drought stress. I do drought stress at the end of every run. It leads to higher cannabinoid levels. It doesn't lead to more biomass, which is another interesting thing with a lot of people going for like washers. You know, people will be like, how does it wash? And people will say, oh, well, it's got so much more yield. It's got so much more harvest, possibly in the like trichome and cannabinoid levels, but not necessarily biomass. Whereas if you're a flower person, you're like, man, I want heavier yields. And that means more biomass, not necessarily trichomes. But your sense of experimentation
You get more
is what leads you.
You get more natural senescence with dryback at the end. I do anyway. I get pretty colored leaves and shit, if that matters. You know? Do you think the same
I like
thing?
it.
I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's pretty. Yeah, I definitely do.
I like to see the plant kind of eating itself towards the end. And you could do this, you know, whatever style you grow, whether it's synthetic, whether it's organic, whatever, you can still get the same senescence. But maybe we'll touch a little bit here on KNF, because you mentioned, I'm just hitting shit now. You mentioned KNF, which is Korean natural farming. And it's funny, that's a total Americanized like thing, because like only Americans call it Korean natural farming. There's so many other people in the world that don't, especially people from North or South Korea. But can you tell us a little bit more maybe about like, does that involve bottles? Does that involve like, what is KNF in kind of like a nutshell, or how you use it in your garden?
Korean natural farming. KNF would be using brown sugar basically to make ferments and stuff like that, and then making OHN, but and Jadam also. I've been reading or trying to learn the Jadam and the KNF type farming at the suggestion of Coot. You know, the Coot Sohum, yeah. And that was all kind of out of frustration of going from show to show to show, to technique to technique, to bag soil to bag soil, to bullshit, literally. You know, now most of the stuff I've done over the years, like whether it be running bottled nutrients from Fox Farm in my attic under streetlights, or whether it be feeding with I'm having a brain fart. The Gaia Green powder blends, or that all these different types of nutrient plans and PM prevention plans, like none of that stuff has worked even a 20th as well as the KNF and Jadam stuff is, as far as it's just so far it's helping some, at least for me outside. I haven't been able to be out. That could have a lot to do with genetics also. I don't know. I haven't discerned yet whether it's probably both. It's probably a combination of both, because I bought some Booth genetics over the years and definitely been ripped off, but not knowing better. You just, but once you learn, once you actually meet people that hand you good seeds and you get to run them where you're not babying them, like every seed has to live, where I can just throw a whole fucking handful into a sip container and see what happens. Then you go, okay, now, yeah, okay. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, I started
your
like
genetics, your Westport grape juice, anything that the Westport grape juice is in. And I've got a couple going right now. I've got the Nakatomi Peaks going, and I've got the Chud, the one that you did. Nice. I had it going before you named it Chud. Those plants, especially before I went in the hospital last week, I had 3 of them in individual containers that looked absolutely incredible. When I came back from the hospital, they were completely dried, all the way dead. Now they're back to life. They don't look great right now, but those and some of I have a couple Chads and I have a couple others. They've got some beautiful structure to them that I recognize across the whole, a bunch of other seedlings and stuff like that. And then there's the Nakatomis that Magpie bred that I'm running, like he crossed your grandbabies. Those things look so sick right now. They look I have to be careful how you say it, but maybe do that one on the other channel. That's one of my jokes. I'll say it for the other channel. But
okay.
I call them the Knack Star, so I have to be careful how fast I say it. But they look insane. You got to see them in the cups. They haven't even made it halfway up the solo cup. The leaves are already like trying to knock the walls off the solo cup and trying to node out and roll. They're badass. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Super vigorous. And a lot of times you get that in offspring when you cross things from like different ends of the spectrum. That's why a lot of stuff has it's called inbreeding depression. Like when you keep breeding like very similar things, it takes that, that hybrid vigor out of it. But if you get 2 things like from the opposite spectrum, like the Nakatomi Plaza, and then I think it was the Cheese Star he crossed it with. Those are different ends of the spectrum. So that's cool that you're seeing a lot of really hybrid vigor in the offspring of those. That's a really good sign.
Here, I'll grab one to show you. They're all they all look pretty even after being neglected.
Yeah, definitely grab one. And that's cool because, Holly, you have had the chance to grow out. Actually, you probably have more of my stuff than anybody, and you have unreleased.
How pretty
stuff.
they look after being neglected for a week. Like they were literally like they were wilted.
Doesn't even look neglected at all.
They were almost dead. They were they were weak dick dead. Like
man.
Dead on the vine.
Well, those are recovering good. I mean, you can't really tell that they're skipping a beat.
Like they like here's a knock. This one is the Twin Peaks seed increase 2022. They all look about like this. They don't look nice. They look good.
And that came with the that was the freebies in the pack of Chud. There were 10 Chuds in the pack in the unlabeled vial, and then the other vial had 5 in there, and it had the TP sticker on it, and that just stands for Twin Peaks. Again, as a seed increase I did of Lucky Dog Zico, Skunk BA's work. So yeah, you've got, I think you've got everything that I made in the last couple years.
I have to go out. I'll have to go out to the other and grab. I've got some larger Chuds that are. Oh, wow. I'll grab them and show them.
Yeah,
they suffered.
Yeah, no worries.
They suffered, but they'll be there.
Well, that happens.
Trying to make they seem like they're good genetics. They're exciting to grow.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I know you were putting them through a little bit of a test earlier too, of like again, because you have the ability to put a bunch down and be like, okay, of these 20, I want 10. You're weak, you're small, not going to baby you. You're a stud, whatever. You're able to kind of pick.
It's not. It's. I'm not proud to admit it, but I've learned something about myself. If it has to be babied and it can't handle like a week period of a mental complete lapse and just I don't give a fuck anymore for a few days. If it can't handle that, it's not going to make it anyway with me. I'm learning that about myself too. So, like, you know what I mean? Like that's why beds are so much better for me than little containers and sea of greens and stuff. I know what's wrong. I know why the plant what they need, but the problem is it gets frustrating. Like once those episodes pass. And you got to recuperate, and then you just get more down on yourself. That's the problem with mental illness and depression and shit like that. And so, and that's another thing with like cultivars, having a lot of seeds right now. It's been such a blessing since Tony sent me a fucking shoebox full of shit, and then Magpie sent me, and now it's such a blessing to just be able to fucking throw seeds out like I can corn or lima beans or anything else, and actually grow it like a normal vegetable. And it kind of the other side of that coin is that kind of makes the growing community look a little bit silly because we grow weed in a way that we don't grow other vegetables. And like, what sense does it make to be growing weed and not be growing anything to eat? What sense does that make? You know what I mean? Like, and be broke as fuck. The grocery store sucks. You know, the groceries are expensive as shit nowadays. Vegetables,
dude,
they're brutal. Like you got to have a real job to buy groceries for real. But we're all pot smokers can grow weed. We can damn sure grow lettuce and grow cucumbers and stuff like that. String beans. And we can damn sure grow sprouts and make smoothies. Just to say, like, and to be more healthy. It takes a little bit of discipline that I don't have myself, but I do see the need for it with a lot of people that I know. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense at all?
100%, dude. I mean, all the propaganda against cannabis is all the propaganda against the reefer is, it's a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug. It'll lead to this and that. And you know what? If a person has a certain type of personality, that may be true. But that's not because of the pot. That's because of a personality and a predisposition. But my point there was to say cannabis is a gateway drug to gardening. Like, no freaking joke. I've started gardening. I love growing vegetables. I don't eat vegetables. My wife loves them, so that's a good thing. But I love gardening, and yeah, dude, with the cost of stuff, and not just necessarily the cost, it's the health. And then this kind of goes back to your Korean natural farming. Korean natural farming it's meant to be kind of like a peasant way of farming because it does
build a farm when you can't afford to buy things. That's what it's meant to do.
Yeah. It's using the land.
Shit that's available to you, and that way you're not beholden to people that are telling you got to show up to work tomorrow morning at 7:45 or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like you can not that there's anything wrong with doing that either, but you can help yourself a little bit with what's right there rather than be unhealthy and feel like you don't have access to anything. It's pretty impressive. Buy the Jadam book. I've been preaching that for several months now. Several people I know have bought the book and read it. And every time somebody I know buys that Jadam book and reads it and starts doing it, in my mind, it makes it gives me a little warm feeling in my chest. I'm like, that's pretty. It's a good feeling. Ask Magpie. He's making all kind of potions and shit now.
Oh, I know. I'm putting up some comments here because a lot of people are doing the gardening. And I think that's freaking awesome. And School of Crop, I like turtles too, bro. So
I like turtles.
But I did see Magpie put up a comment, but I'm like, do I really even highlight that guy?
Yeah, be careful. Magpie. Talk about turtle heads and Magpie. Be careful.
Yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah, be careful.
There. Oh, Magpie, I can't wait to get you. Can't wait to get you in a corner, buddy.
Way to listen to the episode of Roast the Host.
Yes. We'll get him here. And here's something I've heard Magpie say once. He says, "I hope death is a woman. That way it'll never come for me." But moving on. Take that one off the screen. So yes,
pregnant from a toilet seat. Is that true?
Well, you never know if Meg. Yeah,
Depends on his toilet.
exactly. But shoot, so again, kind of going back to, we're talking about the Korean natural farming, but that kind of segued off of us being, gardeners, learning to grow vegetables and wanting to do it. The cost is expensive, but also nutrient density, and that's such an important topic. That's why we do a lot of crazy things for our like cannabis. My gateway to gardening through cannabis was realizing more about the soil biome, how everything, the microbes, bacteria, how all that interacts. That actually taught me about my gut biome, and that's something that I have issues with. So it's kind of helped me in that regard too. But a lot of the food, like hydroponic food that is grown, is not nutrient dense. It grows fast, it grows great, but there's a lot of water in it, lettuce being the perfect example. So when we're growing with these kind of living soil, natural ways, KNF, the food that we eat is more nutrient dense. And that's what your body really needs, is nutrient rich food. So it's awesome to see everybody kind of migrating, again, gatewaying in to the outside world. And you said, the KNF book, the one that pops into my head. So Master Cho or Dr. Cho, Mr. Cho, Master Cho, I think is how I hear it most. CHO, Master Cho. And it's the Orange Book. The Orange Book is the one that I have in my head. But there are a few different interpretations of it because he has never translated it to like English himself that I'm aware of. It's always other people's translations into English. And there are a few discrepancies between the different books or the different methods. But the main point with that, again, is it's farming for people with no money, no income. You can go out, you can take dandelions, for example, you can ferment that. And what leaches out from the plant into the water in that ferment is like a lot of calcium.
You can even boil them. You can even boil them
Yeah.
down. You can roast eggshells and soak them in vinegar, and then strain the vinegar out, and you've got water soluble, super highly available calcium, like that. For some reason, it has some sort of IPM effect on plants, at least in my experience. I don't know what it does to bugs, but it does. I don't know. I haven't been doing it long enough yet, but I was looking for the book. Of course, I can't put my hand on it right this second.
Okay. And here we're getting some excellent input from people in chat. Young Sancho, Master Cho's son, is the Jadam author. Very good to know. So he's closer to the source than a scholar sitting there just trying to translate it, who may not even be familiar with
I don't think translation is much of an issue. There may be like a couple of like you get, if you read the book, you'll get enough of the point to
right.
Where to find now? Now I'm kind of wondering what in the hell I've done with my book.
Where'd my book go?
What did I do with them?
I know. I wish because I have a copy of it sitting here on my desktop of the book, Cho's Global Natural Farming. See, that's what I have. Cho's Global Natural Farming, not Korean Natural Farming. But this one was Rohini Reddy. That's who translated it.
Jadam. Now, Jadam and KNF are two different. They're two different things in a way.
Oh,
KNF,
get the heck out of here!
Uses brown sugar or syrup. It uses a type something in a lot of the things. Jadam is a lot of it has like barrels where you can just soak shit. Like you got barrels full of water where you just throw grass clippings in them, just keep adding to it and strain that out and stuff like that. But both are the same in my mind in the essence that you use resources you have available to you. I don't know what I've done with my book, Chad. This is going to make me crazy.
That's okay. You can keep looking. You'll probably find it when we get off the air. But Locan Flow, thank you so much. Nature's Always Right, who is an excellent person to follow on IG. I believe we've interviewed him on the Brian and Marco show, which I produce over on the FCP Future Cannabis Project channel. And that's Marco is one guy that I hear talk. Again, he walks the walk. Like Marco is freaking awesome. Brian's freaking awesome too. Please don't get me wrong. But I'm highlighting Marco in this sense because he makes a lot of the IMOs, indigenous microorganisms, which is brown sugar is heavily involved in the IMO process as kind of like a catalyst to feed and duplicate or replicate increased populations of a lot of these microbes that you find out in your local soil, which is why it's indigenous microorganisms. IMO 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Brown sugar is pretty much involved in every step of the way there. And so that's good to feed your plants. Well, feed your soil because it's those microorganisms that get the stuff to your plant.
Brown sugar is used in some processes for what do you call it? Osmosis? Not osmosis. Fuck. It literally pulls the moisture out of the plant material. That's one way the brown sugar acts. And then another way it acts, it arrests the biology once you get the biology to bloom, and then the brown sugar arrests it puts it in stasis until you use it, like to apply it. Like that's where the IMO 4s and 5s. I believe that's how it works. I didn't realize how foggy my brain was until I started trying to think of where I put these books, Chad.
That's okay. You know what? If you could find your car keys, you're a step ahead of most of us right now.
I'm not allowed to touch my car keys for 6 months.
Wow. Okay. Well, better safer than sorry. And again,
but yeah. So it's better.
Yeah. That's all right. We're just gonna chauffeur. We're gonna get you a little bell to ring.
Yep, that'd be a great idea.
Yep. Let's see. What is the name of the book? Ken is asking. And I believe it's just. Let me see. I just signed up for StreamYard's.
Find it. Hold on. A book is somewhere in this fucking room.
Okay, he's got to find it. While we're on the subject, though, I'm gonna pull out my. Whoa, hey now. My favorite book at the moment. Obviously, I think I've showed these to you guys on the last episode. Or not with Luna, because Luna, she's a very, very smart person. She could probably write a lot of these books.
All right, there's a Chad.
You find it?
That was a textbook example of brain fog that I shouldn't be experiencing. Yeah, of course I did. They're right where they're supposed to be. I wasn't looking the whole time. These are 4 books I would recommend for people. This vermiculture technology book.
Okay.
That's a book I would recommend for people.
And so vermiculture means like what? Worm castings and there we go. Earthworms, organic waste, and environmental management. Awesome. Okay.
It has lots of different case studies on how earthworms have been used to remediate things like toxic metals and biohazards and stuff like that. But this is the main book that people should get.
That's the orange one. That's the orange one I was thinking of. Yep. And I think it's like $40 on Amazon. And then those other 2 that you're holding up, you can actually like package them together. Yeah, I was looking at that. Yep.
This book's great.
That one. Yep. That one I did order.
Yeah.
I have that one already.
This one's fun too. So this one gives you like different breakdowns for when you're making JLFs and things like, in Jadam, Jadam liquid fertilizer. It's when you basically boil plant material in water. You basically simmer it, bring it to a boil, and let it simmer until it boils down, and you strain it, and that's your fertilizer.
Now, I don't make compost.
I'm sorry, JHS, Jadam Herbal Solution, JHS.
Yeah. That's one of the funny. Gosh, there's so many industries that once you're in it, it is so much easier to use initials or acronyms for things. But until you know what those initials are, you're just like, the hell is he saying right now? Like JLF, Jadam liquid fertilizer. Help me out here. What are some of the other ones?
JHS, Jadam Herbal Solution. JMS, Jadam Microbial Solution. WCA, water soluble calcium. JHS, sulfur. Yeah, there's a bunch of that shit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Because I remember doing a show with Brian and Marco on this one, and this was a couple years ago, and I'm like writing down all the initials and like going to Google and putting them in, and then like coming back to the screen and typing them for everybody. Okay, this is what he's actually saying here. Because I've been around natural farming before, but this is, again, kind of another level. This is taking it to creating your own inputs. And it has some great results. You mentioned you didn't really see PM this year, whereas before,
not
you've
a
seen
speck, not a speck. Like I planted 20 plants outside, hoping one or two of them would make it through the season without mold. Nothing molded. None of it. I didn't thin anything down underneath. Nothing. I didn't thin like none. No spider mites. Nothing.
Do you know if anybody else in the area had like a pretty pest-free year, or was it maybe exclusive to your farm?
Nobody I know, everybody that's come by and smoked the weed that I grew this year, the people that smoke a lot of weed, they even them, they're going, what in the fuck? Even it was a good season for me. It was nice. Not because I knew what I was doing. It was because I was experimenting and I was just observing what went well. And that's what I'm going to try to lean on next year. What went well. Just kind of focus on the good, the bright spots.
Do you take notes? So
yes.
Next year you could. Okay,
yes.
Good.
I was taking notes really well. And I slipped off the last few months, but now I'm going to be right back to taking notes. I've already, this week alone, I've been taking notes. It immediately helps. It's going to be a necessity. Yeah, I just have to. Yeah. I started this week when I got home from the hospital doing the 4 15-minute writing exercises. Write for 15 minutes on a subject, throw it away. Write for 15 minutes on the same subject, throw it away. Do that 4 times a day.
Wow.
And that's a PTSD. It's a way to deal with PTSD. And I was doing that as a possibility that it might help with some PTSD that could possibly be contributing to the seizures. It may not be, but just in case it is, I've been doing that, and I immediately feel I immediately feel better. It's a good habit, and then when I started doing that, it brought to my attention that I stopped taking notes on my garden. Like I could see my notebook from last season when I was reading about the jadam and making my potions and shit like that, and ate up with it. I could see what I was taking notes back then, and I stopped doing that. I stopped doing the daily routine shit that I should be doing. You know what I mean? So, what's that say? Garden journal. You gotta write a journal. You gotta take notes. Yeah, you gotta take notes.
Yeah, it really helps. Because again, as you're doing these things, you don't necessarily know that it's going to be like the thing 2 months later. You're like, oh, dude, that really freaking helped. What was the mixture on that spray? What was the dilution?
It won't be what you think. I can tell you that. Like the stuff that I learned, it's never what I think it'll be. Never. It's consistently something I don't expect that I learned from my successful part of the garden. If that makes any sense. Like that plant that grew in the stump. It defies logic. The stalk of the plant is as big around as the container that it initially is in, that it grew through. And it just grew straight through I have it still. I still got the cloth container on the stalk. It's straight through it. Yeah.
That always impresses me when you see somebody's, and I've got a couple trees out back that have done this. Regular trees, not
like grow out of a wall or something.
Yeah, it's like it's in this little pot. You mean to transplant, but you set it on soil, and you didn't transplant when you did, and then the roots are through it, and you can't lift it. It's like Groot, man. It's got a freaking diaper on it now. It's got above and then below. So
standard. I can tell you this from the last 2 seasons here, and I learned it by accident by not up potting quick enough, where my pot got stuck on the ground. I had to leave it, and standard procedure next season will be cloth pots, and wherever they're going to go, they're not getting up. They're not getting taken out. They're going to sit on top of the next one. They're going to be allowed to grow straight through the bottom. it gives me like an emergency. It gives me an emergency ability to move the plant if a hurricane comes, and I got to put it in the shed or something just to save it. Like it's another benefit of it.
That's Hillbilly Herbs is naming new strain. He's next year's hot new strain, Groot's diaper. I like it. I like it. And then Hillbilly Herb, he makes some good beans, so he's got the ability to slap that on something. I'm going to be highlighting some of his cherry wine that he sent me, which is a very CBD dominant cultivar. Cherry wine's pretty famous. People know that one. Also have some of his regular and autoflower work to dive into, but I'm going to cover that on a seed collector episode, which probably is going to be coming out very soon. YouTube kind of slapped me last week, so I'm a little scared right now, but we'll bounce back. But yeah, look for that. So Hillbilly Herb, Groot's diaper, man. Maybe we can collab on that one. Maybe that'll be the cherry wine times something. We'll talk about that one, but that would be fun. Groot's diaper. You heard it here first.
I like it.
Yeah, dude. And writing that stuff down, that's cool that you're doing that. I'm a very visual learner. If I have to read the book, it's going to take me 3 or 4 times. But if you show me and I do it, first time, maybe you may have to refresh my memory, but first time I get it. So being a very visual learner, when I need to retain things, writing things down helps me. And when it comes to, dealing with like stress, mental health, PTSD, some things like that need to come out, writing them down and throwing them away is so fucking therapeutic. Like I can't even recommend it enough. Just like you're done.
I didn't realize, like I never realized what I was doing for myself when like my part of my art style is hidden pictures, but it all originated where I would paint something that I don't want to think about on the canvas and then paint over it. I paint something I like over it. And that's how a lot of that started in anyway. And in essence, I'm throwing away the bad and brightening it up in essence, kind of in a way, but try to get back on my point. Lately, when I've needed to paint, like if I've been spinning out over the course of my life, I've learned to set myself up where I can stop and pause and sit down and do something different, even if it's just to get it off my mind. And painting is one of those things. But lately, things have been so spiraled out of control that I can't find the paint. Like I go to paint and can't get to it. And that is a recipe for fucking disaster for me. And if that makes sense. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in that regard. Like if you've got coping mechanisms that help you, like hobbies, but you can't do your hobbies because you haven't taken care of your responsibility, like because you can't get to your bike's fucking buried in laundry. Like and riding your bike would help. The laundry does have to be done. I get that, but
yeah,
the laundry doesn't have to be done worse than you not having a fucking mental meltdown. Ride your bike and do the laundry when you get back. Wear some stinky shirt, that kind of thing. That's where I'm at lately. I can't get to my fucking tools to finish building my coop that needs to be contained, and I got a fucking court charge coming up for chickens that are running all over the place. But I can't get to my goddamn tools, and it's a downward spiral. And I'm kind of, and then when I start taking notes, immediately start taking notes on it and start realizing, oh, well, no shit, no shit,
I have to. I write stuff out. I take notes all the time. Again, that helps me mentally, just not having to remember or sometimes holding on to that thing you don't want to deal with or think about. You put it on the list and you can go to that list. You're like, fuck, okay, I got to take care of the clothes now that I've gotten the bike done. Yeah, it really helps. Helps me.
Making a list helps a lot because then you don't have to like making a list and I'm hard-headed about that sometimes. But if I do make a list, and then like you say, you don't have to constantly have that on in front of your mind. You can write it down and then you can park it for a second. Catch your breath. But sometimes we got to fucking take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Life's challenging. Life's challenging. I don't care how tough you are. Life's fucking challenging. If it's not, then maybe you don't have people in your life that you love, or maybe you don't have people that, that's the way I see it anyway. I don't know about
you're not living too. It's, one of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. And I hope I don't get this one wrong here, but it's like the measure of a man isn't where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but it's where he stands in times of like challenge and controversy, which is totally true. It's easy to be a nice guy when everything is peachy, But
It's
when
easy
you're
to smile
faced,
when your car runs. It's easy to fucking smile when your car's running. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not easy
Dude.
to smile when your fucking car just blew up and you ain't got no money and you're late for work.
Oh, oh God, this is like 3/4 of my life, man. I'm very happy these days and all of that. But yeah, 3/4 of my life, it's like, fuck, am I gonna make it to work? What was that shake? What was that noise? Whew, I'm at work. Okay, now I gotta go home. All right, I'm going home. And what was that noise? What was that shit? So yeah, I get it. But to kind of translate that back to the garden, I mean, when my garden isn't looking the best, it gets me down. When my garden is looking great, God, that puts a smile on my freaking face. But they're pretty damn resilient. And I've gone through this before, again, going on vacation, being gone, not having the person watching them take care of them right. Um, but tell us about yours. Like you were away for, a few days and you came back to the garden and things just looked dead. So maybe tell us about the recovery process and kind of incrementally how that went and what you did.
I set up a couple sip containers with experimental soil in it just to see how it went. And I had one bed full of blood, sweat, and tears from Tony, 10 of them in there. One bed of cheddar. Fuck, my vocabulary is not working with my brain. Of vintage cheddar, and I had a couple sip containers that were beds that had cover crop planted in it before I planted it. And then I had another sip container that I didn't put cover crop in, that I planted Rochus quimbus. The two beds that had cover crop initially before everything ever started, they don't look like anything went wrong. They don't look like I was gone. The beds that didn't have a cover crop, they dried back really bad, right, but they recuperated faster than. I also had some Pam F3s and some skunk water by Maxana's that were in. Ooh. If you would have asked me before I had my little situation, these were the preferred containers. They were in my best batch of soil, in my favorite containers. They were going to be ready to flip. They were the containers that fit where they were going and everything. And they looked the best before I had my situation. But they're bright fucking yellow right now. When I got back home, they were wilted all the way down and so dry and like dead. The sensor that tells you your highs and lows, the high-low sensor, it got down to 26. And so they don't like to, as you know, plants don't like to be cold and dry. They don't like to be
your
cold. Your
sensor said, you're fucked.
The color sensor said 26 degrees, humidity 15. And then the high temp got pretty high too, because the fan, I'd done something but long story short, they're not recovering nearly as fast as the ones that are in the beds. The ones that were outside in the greenhouse with the light on, they dried back, but they look like they'll be fine. They're not bright fucking yellow, but the ones that dried back in the tent that were in the smaller containers that weren't in beds, they're so fluorescent yellow. They look tired.
I've been there. We've all been there. We've all been. I know the yellow you speak of.
Yep.
And that's kind of an interesting point, or like a procedure that living soil people often follow, is like a mulch layer or a cover crop layer. You got to be careful because it can attract some pests. But if things are sterile, you're fine. But what that does is, one of the large purposes is to retain the moisture in your soil. And the moisture in the soil is good in a living organic soil because you got the microbes and bacteria, and they want it wet. They don't want it dry, at least the good ones. But that's a lot of the times why people do it, because you don't have to water as often. The soil stays wetter longer. There's less evaporation. If it were outdoors, there wouldn't be as much wind or direct sun or all of that jazz. But do you think maybe having the cover crops helped those sips retain moisture, whereas the other ones?
I know the cover crop helped them, not only when I was gone, but even before I had the situation. I could already see the cover crop containers moving on ahead of the other. Like, and everything was like they were already starting to like stretch their legs and show and prove themselves. And they're right beside each other in the same tent, so it's under the same light. So it's, you know, it's a straight up experiment. It's a straight up observation and experiment. It's nothing scientific really, other than that I'm observing it and seeing what happens. You know, but I know what I'll do on the crop that matters in the spring, based on what I saw just then. If that tells you anything, you know, personal.
And here's a good point too from Andy. What's up, my friend? Fluctuation in pH. You know, that's something that can also happen when you go through drybacks or real wet periods. You get that root zone fluctuation.
I imagine pH, it must be the main thing that makes them turn bright fucking yellow when they're in small containers and they get dried back real hard. But like the big beds, like the city pickers, I laugh at measuring the water pH. The beds, it doesn't matter. You put a handful of worm castings in the water and put it in there, and it doesn't matter. It regulates it. Do
you know what your pH is out of the tap though? Because I've said that, and then I've talked to people. They're like, "Bro, it's like 9.2 out of the tap." I'm like,
"Mine's not that
maybe
high.
You should do something."
Mine out of the tap's pretty high though. It's like 7.6.
Okay,
it's pretty high.
It's higher than the
high. It's got a little bit. It's kind of high, but it's not super high ppms. But that's another thing about the water soluble calcium, the Jadam calcium with the eggshells. That kind of helps moderate the pH a lot. It'll bring it down if it's too high. It'll bring it, you know, it kind of takes it to that neutral level. It seems like, anyway.
And that's, you know, a lot of living soil folks don't pH anymore. Because the microbes and stuff, there's a little bit of a buffer.
And I swear, Chad, I've got 4 different pH meters. I've probably spent more money on pH meters in the last 10 years than I have on my vehicle. And I bet you I've killed more plants adjusting the pH, where if I wouldn't have checked the fucking pH and adjusted it, that the plant would have never had a problem. Me trying to fix the pH to what I thought it should have been, fuck them up. Like, that's happened so many times over the years. It's like fish. And if I wasn't a fish, like if I hadn't raised fish and bred fish for so long, I probably wouldn't laugh so much when people talk about measuring the pH before they pour it into a container full of soil.
Well, it's very critical for fish.
What's that?
I said a pH is very critical for fish. Like,
especially in understanding the difference between pH and alkalinity. And what's called, you know, it's not, it's similar, but it's not the same thing. And you can adjust pH without adjusting hardness with different chemicals and vice versa. Like, and when you're measuring your pH and pouring it into soil, as soon as it hits the soil, it's everything you measure, it's out the window as soon as because everything dissolves differently, you know, depending on how everything's charged. And I don't have a good enough understanding of it to know how to explain it. I just have a good enough understanding of it to know I don't know shit.
Which is a lot of times the answer with soil.
It's
really that is the answer.
It's
I know
true.
enough to know I don't know shit.
The plants keep showing me that. They keep showing me I don't know shit. Just you just do this and leave us alone, and we'll be here when you need us, and you go do something else.
And one like area that I see this used a lot is, you know, like cocoa, because again, cocoa is not soil. Cocoa is an inert medium. It doesn't have the same bioactivity. So pHing for cocoa is important. And with cocoa,
it's most certainly important. That's completely different. You're right. That's different. That your plant is absorbing stuff through a chemical absorption rather than a biological absorption. If that makes sense. It's not the same thing. Where if you've got cover crop that can take nitrogen out of the air that we breathe and feed it to the plant, that's a different situation than a plant that's sitting in cocoa coir with no cover crop. That plant might need more nitrogen than one that's sitting in a bed full of nitrogen fixing cover crop. You know, I just know enough to know I don't understand, like I said.
Well, again, you know the mechanics, and like you said earlier, is you got to know the rules to break the rules. So once you know how things are meant to operate, you can try to manipulate them to get the results you want. And again, pH, it depends on your media, really. It's living soil, guys. I haven't touched it for years. Cocoa guys are so important every time. So there's different approaches, but that is one of the tools that as we progress in this cannabis journey on whole, we're finding out some of the things we didn't think were important are really important. And we're also finding some things we thought were really important, not necessarily as important. As long as you're in a particular range for pH, that's just kind of what I want to say too, because I still check it.
I exaggerated. I also saw a comment go by that somebody said that chemistry is happening. I don't mean to imply that chemistry is not happening. I mean to imply that with living soil, chemistry is happening so complex and so fast that we're not smart enough to understand it. That's what I mean. I don't mean that it's not happening. I just, if that makes any sense. My brain is in a fog. I don't feel like I can talk properly, but.
I'm having a great conversation and we're following along. But the conversation of specificity with pH and interactions within the soil is very complex. It's not something that we understand entirely, but what we do know is that plants within a certain range will grow better. We know that nutrients are available in certain ranges. So even if you are an organic person, that you can't feed 4.0 pH water to a bed and just have everything perfect. But it rarely comes out at 4.0. That would be a serious health problem if it did. Yeah. But it's in the right range when it comes out that there's enough natural buffering.
I guess I could use like a more specific example. What I was trying to explain, like as far as when I measure my water and then try to maybe I'd measure my pH and then adjust my water with Epsom salt to get it to raise the pH up a little bit before I put it in my beds, and then my beds would show yellowing and streaking. And then if you showed it to somebody and didn't tell them what you did, they would tell you had a magnesium deficiency and you needed to add Epsom salt. Well, really none of that's what's going on at all. It would be something like, I know that I could top dress my beds with gypsum and worm castings, and then within a certain range, it doesn't matter how much I adjust my pH or what I put on top of it. As soon as it hits the gypsum's going to interact with the water immediately. Yep. And that's the point I'm saying.
You're so right, because it's all about how zoomed in do you want to get with the microscope, because even I guarantee you, I'm not making this up, this is just science, but the pH in the rhizosphere is different than the pH an inch away, which is different than the pH. There's slight fluctuations all throughout the soil, just again based on like the exudates, based on microorganisms. Some microorganisms release more acidic excrement.
pH is different under some cover crops than it is under other cover crops.
Yeah, it's always in flux. I think that's what we're trying to get to. It's always in flux. There is a range to maintain it, but it's always in flux. So trying to be static with it isn't going to work.
I agree with that.
Nice. And two, I just wanted to mention, I got some comments up here. And David Maxwell, this is what I was kind of getting to earlier with the cocoa. He says, I don't check the pH of the soil, only water. And that's smart. With cocoa, you're able to check the runoff. You're able to check the pH and the ppm of the runoff to see what adjustment you need to make on your next feeding. With soil, absolutely doesn't work the same way, because there's so many interactions within the soil that you can't reliably look at the runoff and then make changes. And I've done this before, dude. I've bought a bag of back in the day Fox Farm soil. I checked my runoff. It was like 4.0, something like, holy shit, that's so far out of range. What do I do? And then I dumped gallons and gallons of adjusted water on there, and that's
the point I was thinking about pH and your shit to death. Exactly what you're saying. Like, how do you measure the runoff of if your soil's built with limestone and gypsum and peat moss and all these things that all create different pH fluctuations individually, and then you throw them together, yeah, like that's the Jadam principle, the diversity. That's why Jadam is basically a handful of potatoes in a 55-gallon drum of water with a handful of leaf mold soil, and you wait till it bubbles and smells like biscuits, and then you water your fucking flowers with it. And it's odd that somebody who's accustomed to killing all the bad shit to make bugs go away is actually spraying bugs on stuff to keep them away now. Like,
yeah, so
I didn't see any PM, and I was spraying all kinds of microbial shit on my stuff in April. I was priming it, getting it on every leaf I could. PM didn't stand a chance against that stuff.
That's awesome. And you mentioned the using like insects to fight insects, and I've seen that. And insect frass is one of them, but like exoskeletons. And I'm forgetting the technical term right now, but it releases signals and hormones within the plant that it's under attack from these chitinase. Chitinase is one of them.
And chitin inhibitors, like chitinase inhibitors and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And so the plant kind of thinks it's under attack from a bug, so it's like immune system boosts up. But since there really is no actual attack, we've just fooled it. Again, know the rules to break the rules. Its defenses against bugs are now a little bit higher because it's primed for a fight.
I also think with PM, and I've asked Mike. I want to talk to Matthew Gates about this, and hopefully we will one day. But I think with PM, if you're hitting your stuff with this biology early in the season, when the spores land on the leaf surfaces, they can't put their little spikes in and attach to be ready to bloom later. They're blocked already. There's a defensive, I guess, and I think that's what happened with my garden this year. I think by keeping everything foliared early in veg, because I didn't foliar at all during flower, I think that it prevented a lot of this stuff from happening. My plants didn't stay dry. There was dew all over them, like always, and my buds this year were bigger. They weren't like they were, you worry when they get big because you worry they're going to be too dense and they're going to have rot in the inside in humid environment, that kind of thing. And again, everything was different this year. Everything.
So when it comes to note taking, we're keeping track of the dilutions, when we fed, maybe some things we saw on the plant, like, oh, it yellowed week 4. I should probably add more, something in week 2. Do you also track the weather that year? Like, oh, this was our average daily temperature. This was how much rain, how many cloudy days we had, how many pure Sundays we had. Is that also something you tracking? Because that year over year can affect things.
I don't. I should. I guess you should, but yeah, I didn't. We didn't have it. We didn't have as bad a hurricane season this year. I do know that.
Oh wow. Okay. And that's an interesting one. Fortunately, all of this weather data you can go back and look at. So you don't actually have to write it down because it is archived with, your local news channel or the weather service or whoever. So you can look back and probably compare year over year. But you said hurricanes didn't come. Now, this summer wasn't bad for wildfires on the West Coast, as it has been the past few years. And one thing I noticed with those, because we get a lot of the smoke from California, we're freaking hundreds and hundreds of miles away. But whenever California has a really bad, or Southern Oregon now has really bad fire seasons, the mushroom blooms are always more explosive here. So there are things that ride on that wind. And I wonder if that hurricane wind also has things riding on it that you didn't get this year.
It didn't blow any of my plants down. That's
a direct effect.
Snaps them off like that. Just literally the high wind snapping them off. Like it did take a couple of them out by dropping pine branches, but it's always an issue. Like I literally set my garden up beginning of the year to, in case of bad. You there?
Okay, yes, we're back. I was doing my
Yeah.
We'll be back in
When
a
I was saying I
moment.
literally set my garden up at the beginning of the year in case there's a big hurricane where that way I could just like kind of grab the nutrient zone in the plant and save what I can, put it in the shed if I have to, pluck it loose kind of thing. But this year I didn't have to move anything. We didn't have a storm like last year. Last year, my two biggest plants got snapped off by wind.
Ooh. Of course, it's the biggest ones, the heaviest.
They twisted. They got me where I wasn't expecting it. They did a spin.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it was weird how they snapped. They spun off. Like it's fucking weird.
Like I'm not the type of person to root for like carnage and destruction and chaos, but I really am waiting for the news report about a freaking weed NATO, like in Oklahoma. It's just gonna hit. It's gonna hit a farm, and for miles and miles, there's just pot plants just strewn everywhere, like little Bobby Joe's fucking play school kit, like covered with weed. Like I am seriously waiting for the weed NATO because news is gonna have a freaking field day. They're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Like
my neighborhood could have a chicken NATO. My neighborhood might have a chicken NATO.
oh no, you have that many chickens.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm an outlaw. Yeah.
Always the one.
I'm a menace to society. Absolute menace to society.
Yeah, damn you growing your vegetables and protein
my
filled
chickens,
eggs.
and my clucking hens.
You and your clucking hens. That's hilarious. Oh shoot. The PM you were mentioning, and you didn't see it this year, and yes, it could boil down to weather. Yes, it could boil down to genetics as well. But you mentioned sprays, and I don't know if I'm getting this wrong. Help me out here in chat. But was it Labs? Was it Lactus?
I think it was.
Lactus as
right here, JWA, the wet Jadam wetting agent. That's what I think. Jadam wetting agent. What's that?
Does that have the sulfur in it?
I didn't use sulfur yet. I have sulfur for if a problem pops up, but I haven't had to use it. I haven't even. I used gypsum in my top dress, so that has sulfur in it. I don't know if that translates. I don't know how that works, but
right. School of crop. Is that pea?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? If Uncle Creepy was here, he would be like, "Pea works, bro."
I told you what Ryan wanted me to do. He wanted me to show you how I mix my compost tea with my headlamp on. Magpie.
Never take directions from Mr. Magpie.
Exactly.
Like that's just lactic acid bacteria. Thank you, Bonsai Garden Guy. That's what I was thinking. It's labs.
I have labs. They're in my fridge. I made labs from, but I haven't used them. I've been kind of waiting for a problem.
Okay, because I think that was the one that that Matthew Gates, because we did a special on this with the Future Cannabis Project, all about PM. But I think that was the labs that he said, when you spray it onto the plant, again, veg, the acidity in that prevents the spores from really taking hold, like you say, or impregnating the tissue.
See, I thought that the Jadam microbial solution and spreading it out with the wetting agent, I thought that was what prevented the spores. But
it could be too.
I did use labs pretty heavily with my IMO top dress in my soil, but I didn't spray it on my plants this year. But I don't know if they pick it up from their nutrient zone and it works like that. I don't know. I'd love to talk to Matthew Gates about that.
Yeah, I'll have to ring him again. Oh, whoops. Let's see. Little Mac, that's the one I was trying to put up. He's all, isn't it 1 part P to 10 parts water for nitrogen? That would be interesting. Here's the thing with pea and a lot of waste products, particularly with farms. We have so much other shit inside of us that we don't want to give to a plant.
The Jadam book tells you how you can make fertilizer from urine, and I'm sitting here telling you, even after I read it, I'm not using my own piss for fertilizer.
Okay, here's Abraham.
I use chicken shit or something else first for now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And thank you, Abraham, for chiming in here. I know he's another loyal listener over on the Brian and Marco show. So yeah, when he says labs, kombucha as well, I'm gonna count that as a verification there. So that'll help. And again, there probably are, a variety of ways. And yeah, J5, he said they're both effective labs for sure for PM. So
yeah, make sure everybody listening knows I'm brand new to this. I don't know. It's brand new, like literally only a couple of years. I couldn't even told you what Jadam was 2 years ago. It's new,
right?
It's not. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking to my experience so far.
And that's the best position to speak from is from experience. It's like education is good because I kind of straddle both worlds. It's like I grew before I really knew, and then I went to school to know, and I did the same with audio. It's like I can already do this, but I want to know the why behind it. Like when I do this, why did that just work? I know to do it because it works, but why? And then once you know the why, you start learning those rules. And then once you know the rules, again, you can break them to get your desired results. But that was one thing there. And a couple other comments here before we get too far away from it, because I'm slacking again. I need to do another bean giveaway here. So I'm going to give away some beans here. But another question that we had earlier from Ms. K's Garden says, would lettuce or radishes be a good cover crop?
Yes. Excellent cover crop. And Harry Rose talked about radishes being actually one of the ideal cover crops to bring out extra terpenes in your cannabis.
Nice. I grow radishes. Radishes are pretty fast growing. I think 5 to 7 weeks. Depends on the ultimate size.
Yeah, I see a lot of advantages to using radishes and carrots and things like that you could use the root vegetable itself as another food source for the plant after the fact, and also for aeration. Radishes are good for aeration.
Yep. That's for outdoors. That's one thing that I learned in the sustainable agriculture school is a lot of time with farming. If you have really hard pan soil, you got really like clay, you plant those deep rooting plants because that root's going to go down. It's going to break up the soil. It's going to create the air pass, the water pass for when your other roots tend to grow in it. So yeah, it has more advantages than just producing a fruit or fixating nitrogen.
You can leave it there too as a carb source for biology, and that's another advantage.
Carrots too. Yep. Carrots, again, that's another one that's, they're usually done in about 7-8 weeks. So that's usually the life cycle, or at least the flowering cycle of your cannabis. You could probably get away with letting them go a little bit longer, chopping them a little sooner. I've never done or tried carrots as far as with cannabis because I'd be worried that'd be weird pulling it out. I wonder if the roots would wrap around it. But if you're trying to break up compacted soil, heck yeah, get some carrots in there and then plant somewhere else this year. Let your carrots go and then start planting in that soil.
Tomorrow, I've got some sips that I was going to plant. I'm going to do carrots and radishes and some sips tomorrow. Literally, I'm going to put your Nakatomi cheese star crosses in there with it and see what happens. We'll do that as an experiment, and I'll document it for you.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Done deal.
Done deal.
Radishes in one and carrot in the other.
That's awesome. I like growing the baby stuff, so I usually let them go for 3-4 weeks, and I pop them out, and they just got all the flavor.
Ginger would be another one that would be. I could see being advantageous in any kind of living soil beds is having some ginger in there, because ginger is actually one of the parts of the OHN in KNF. Ginger is one of the anti-pathogen microbial promoting components of OHN.
It's good for your stomach too, right?
Yes, it is. It's very good for you. It's super, super healthy. So that could be a good hack for somebody to dive into that knew more than I do about it.
Yeah. So again, that kind of bridges the soil biome and the gut biome. It's, oh my gosh, they're related, and they we could learn one from the other. Such a fascinating thing. And again, as a person with stomach issues, I like the subject. So I'm always.
Do you have reflux? What do you have? Acid reflux? What is your stomach issue?
Yeah, I get that too. Diverticulitis. So
you have
it's
diverticulitis. You can't have seeds, huh? You can't have any sesame seeds, right?
Right. You know what? I eat them, and it's been better over the past 4 years, maybe. I still get some flare-ups, but my life used to be just freaking really miserable, man. And cannabis is awesome. So cannabis lifestyle changes, diet changes. There's a lot of things. There is no one thing heals all. But yeah, I do have to be careful about some of the foods that I consume. But I do get a lot of.
My mother-in-law, if I feed her sesame seeds, I get in trouble. It flares up her diverticulitis real bad.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, for people who don't know what that is basically you have just like little pockets in the lining of your intestines, and they could be fine, and it's all good, but then something will get lodged in there, and then it will start like having reactions, and then it will inflare, and then you're just not a happy camper. So like little sharp things like seeds, chips, those hot foods, those types of things you want to stay away from. You want it to go through, not like, oh, I'm a seed, I'm gonna stick in this little hole there. Yeah. So speaking of seeds, excellent segue, Holla. You the man. We're gonna do another giveaway here. This time we are doing the Wicked. I need to fix my light, right? We're going for, this is the last pack of Wicked Genetics we have to give away. Again, big shout out to Broken Scepter for making all of those Wicked Genetic giveaways possible. He sent me a whole bunch of them. This is the last one we've got right here, and it says not for resale on the bottom. This is the After Party, which is fruit parfait times Camelot. So that's what that one is. We'll be playing for that one here. And just as a sick and cruel joke, I should make you spell out diverticulitis as the word to the giveaway. But I won't, because that would just be a shit show. That'd be pretty freaking interesting. All right. I couldn't even say the word for like so many years, and it would piss me off. People are like, what do you have? And I'm all, I can't say it. Yep. And then when I worked at the dispensary, this girl, Beth, who worked there, she's a wonderful person. She has her own reasons to use cannabis, but she's like, okay, say it with me. Diverticulitis. I'm like, diverticulitis. Diverticulitis. Holy shit, I can say the word now. So yeah, I'm happy. Let's see. Let's just shout it out to Beth. That'd be interesting. I don't think she watches the show. I don't even think she is aware of these shows. I don't think she knows about the shows. This is a person who has had the Westport grape juice many times and has no clue about the things that I give her to help her. She's just like, oh, okay, a plant, thanks. I'm like, do you know people would kill for this? Nope. She just, again, that's kind of a fun thing too. With a lot of the medical people I help out, they just know that the plant helps them, and that's all they care about. So that's it. So we're shouting out to Beth on this one. If you guys are USA only and you would like to win the last pack of Wicked Genetics that we have here, again, the Camelot, go ahead and type Beth into chat, and we'll leave that open just for a couple minutes here. Yeah, I grew some. Brock Lesnar also had it. I'm a big MMA fan. He's more wrestling, but he was in MMA for a while. But that really sidetracked his career as far as MMA goes. That really kind of made him pull out, just the severity of the case that he had. Another guy I worked with, he had 3 feet of his intestines removed. Unfortunately, he didn't turn to cannabis. We had talked about it a lot, but that was just not his background. His belief system was kind of against it, but he at least explored the options, and he allowed me to share some education materials with him. He chose a different route, but you know what? We're about 5 years past his surgery, and the difference that it made in his life is just night and day. So I'm all for it. However you can get better, get better. But cool. Yeah, just type Beth into chat. We're going to give away another pack. We're almost towards the end of the show. We're almost at 2 hours. So we got this one and another one to give away before we end up here. damn, Holla, this has been fun. I don't feel like we've even started because you do a lot of fascinating things, and every sentence you say, I have like 2 questions for it. So we keep doing that. And everybody in chat.
We can do rematch anytime you want. I'm always available for you.
Oh, we will. Oh,
Anytime.
we will. Magpie's on my hit list first. Again, everybody watching, expect to see some new stuff coming from me, a new channel. We'll have that going up here.
A politically incorrect channel.
Yeah, really. This yes. Speaking of Kingfisher, have you seen Brock Lesnar's shot putting daughter? She looks like a female version of her dad. I did not see this until yesterday when I read the article about her breaking the shot put record. Dude, that's Brock Lesnar in a wig, and that's just genetics. That's phenotype, right? Everybody's got the same genotype, and Brock's came out dominant. So that is a very talented individual with the shot put. But bro, if she's trying to kick my ass, I'm running. Like I'm not hanging around to find out. So
man,
yeah, that's a strong woman right there.
There was a police officer. There was a police officer that showed up to visit me a couple months ago.
just out of the kindness of their heart. Like,
well, there's more of a story to that too. No, not out of the kindness of their heart.
I'm not asking.
Yeah, some bitch called the cops on me. But anyway, this lady that showed up, I'm glad I didn't have to defend myself from her because she would have whipped my ass swiftly.
Yeah.
God. Swiftly. I'm 6'2", 205. I'm not a little guy. Yeah, she would have destroyed me.
Yeah, there's some people in life you meet, you're like, yeah, not a chance.
I bet she was 6'5", 325. I mean, I'm not even kidding, dude. She was jacked. Had pigtails, braided pigtails. Like, fuck it was
ready to go. That's good, man. I at the MMA gym we had, it's a God, why can't I think of the word? They have the door co-ed. It's a co-ed sport. Males, females. It's anybody who is willing to go through the training. Hats off to you. But in the gym we did have some girl fighters there, and I was one weight class above one of the professional girls there. She was a new professional, but she was still a professional, which means she knows what she's freaking doing. And before her fights, coach would always, and I wouldn't strike. Like I watched the female fighting. It took me a second to win over. Just in my head, you don't hit a female. Like violence and females in my head have been very separated. But as a sport and as a skill, I've been able to appreciate the sacrifice and the skills that they have. So to me, it's 2 skilled individuals out there, whether you're male or female. Anyways, my point is they would always throw me to her for grappling practice before her freaking fights, dude. And jiu-jitsu is one of those things. You don't have to be bigger or stronger. You just have to know what you're doing. And bro, man, like I'm not embarrassed to say I've got broke off a few times by a freaking smaller girl. Like it's embarrassing, but it's not at the same time. So yeah, man, it's I don't know how we got on that subject. It has nothing to do with that.
For sport. That mother. What the fuck?
Yeah, Fazoli, you're welcome on the new channel. No, just joking. Yeah, no. So we are not talking about Beth here. We're talking about Brock Lesnar's daughter. Beth is a freaking sweetheart. I hope she's doing well. Actually, that's a person I should check in with.
This lady also was a sweetheart, but for the record, she didn't take me to prison and she didn't put me in handcuffs. And she was really nice.
That's those are some finer qualities in people.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you didn't take me to jail. I kind of like you. Thanks.
Yeah. You don't always want to ride.
No. The cars never smell good anyways. All right. Beth, 142 people in here again. If you are in the US only, I salute you. If you win, just let me know in chat. Good luck, everybody. We're going to draw here, and we got one more coming up in probably another 5-10 minutes. We'll do another bean giveaway. Vance Tillum, congratulations. Vance, go ahead and just in chat, if you're still here, let me know that you are in the US only, and then I will ask you to get a hold of me through Instagram. Just DM me. My link is down in the show notes, and I'm writing down here Wicked Genetics. That's the one you got. And before we get to kind of wrapping it up, yep, awesome, Vance. Big ups. Thank you for watching today.
Congrats, Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And whoop, where'd he go? There we go. Broken Scepter again. Congrats, man. Thank you for making these Wicked Genetics giveaways possible. So shout out to you and shout out to Vance as well. And shout out to everybody for being in chat, making it active, and just enjoying yourselves. That's why we're here. Want everybody to hang out and have a good time. Maybe learn a little something, meet a new person, and hey, you might win some beans along the way. So it's not all bad here. We're pretty good. All right, so we'll give away a couple more in a second. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. Chat, let me know what we should do, because again, this was the last Wicked Genetics. So
Look,
I'm down to
I like what Stiff Old School said. He said he usually breaks out in handcuffs when police are involved.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bad rash, man.
I tend to resemble that remark. I resemble that remark.
I resemble that remark. Awesome. Oh God, I'm almost crying over here. Yep, everybody give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you, Hillbilly. Do it. Chat, let me know, because that was the last pack of the Wicked Genetics for this last giveaway today. Do we want to do a pack of the Chud, or do we want to do the Westport Grape Juice Testers? Let's see here. So
Magpie's not gonna have a fit to get a hold of his Westport Grape Juice Testers. I won't even tell you what he said about you yesterday. Oh my God.
I can only imagine what he said. I imagine what he said. Okay, so guys, if you want to do the Chud, type Chud into chat. Or if you want to do the Westport Grape Juice S1s, which I'm calling Westport's Posse, type S1 in chat. So I'll do that here in a second. We'll see. Testers. Okay. We'll do that in a couple minutes. Wow, this is close. Because I accidentally, for some reason, I stashed 5 packs of Chud. And when I was looking for a pack of seeds to do a show with Raw Genetics, I found them. I'm like, holy shit. I thought they were sold out, and I have 5 more packs. So I donated a couple to some good causes, and I still have a couple to play with here. Nice. I'm seeing a lot of S1s, so we'll see. All right. Holla. Let's see. We got about 20 minutes left here. I'm like, yeah, it's a little early to wrap it up now, but we can keep talking. Bongs, tokes. I'm gonna toke. And we didn't get to the garden tour this week, just because we've got some background YouTube lingering issues that kind of prevented us from doing that. But expect it in the future. And I'm going to be doing a lot more. I've got a whole bunch of Seed Collectors episodes recorded right now, and I was going to launch them over this past week, but I wasn't able to. So I'm going to have to try to doctor those a little bit, and then I'll be putting those up. So stay tuned for a lot of like breeding information and a lot of seed information for the rest of this month. Hopefully we will fly under the radar with all of that. Let's see, S1s. Okay, S1 seems to be winning so far. Where was I going with that, Holler? What? Please read my mind. God. What was I trying to do there?
I think you were trying to warn them that they might have to see me again.
Yes, Holla. We're gonna have you back. when everything is good for you, and we're gonna have take a look at the garden, because I'm curious. I want to see how some of my babies are growing for you. Right now, they're in a recovery stage though from an unintended leave of absence. But I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, that's funny. They'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun. Breeding is fun. Oh, don't you mean plants? Yes. Plants. Plant breeding. Yes, that's just good too.
Double head.
All right. I know, Magpie. All capital letters, 5 exclamation marks. Like, bro is thirsty for a hair flip right now. I told you, Magpie. I got a OnlyFans. I have an OnlyFans for that.
That's right. We don't give that shit away for free.
No, bro. You want to see me touching this lush hair? You got to.
That's right. You got to.
Sorry. I don't have a Patreon for cannabis. I believe the information should all be free. I give all that away for free, but you want me to flip the hair, touch the hair, comb the hair, style the hair, look at my hair. You're paying for it, Magpie. Sorry. Greasy bush. God damn it, Magpie. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna be harassing that guy.
He always comes up with this shit that I want to rebut, but it's too funny.
I know. He always says things that I'm like, I'll get you later, buddy.
Oh,
What's in my fridge? That's a good question. What's in my fridge? Not a lot, man. I need to go grocery shopping. What am I gonna pop next? Let's talk about that. What are you going to pop next year? Do you have anything that you made seeds of this year, or
my outdoor garden for next year is already popped?
Okay, tell me about that. So how early do you start them, and what is your process of like putting them out and hardening them off? Is it just meh, or are you in and out for a few days?
Just kind of wing it, depending on the weather. This year I built a greenhouse. I actually built a greenhouse yesterday and the day before, which is odd because I'm putting off building it for a year, and then I get out of ICU and decide to build one when I get home, and I'm supposed to be resting.
Yeah. When you get out of ICU, you should be.
I want my fucking greenhouse. I want a garden right now. I don't want to wait. Look. I want to go. I can't go nowhere. Well, fuck.
That's so like me. And like, dude, what else am I doing right now?
Y'all said to stay calm, don't get worked up. Well, waiting doesn't help for that.
Right. Being in the garden helps, man. And again, like I said earlier, it's when you have a happy garden, man, life is just that much better.
I'm gonna take you to see the tent. I can't let you end the show without seeing the decrepit tent.
All right, let's see it.
Outdoor tent experiment. I'll walk the computer to the tent experiment.
All right, you can do that, and I guess in the meantime, while we're transitioning, let's do that other giveaway. I think looking at the results, the S1 has won it. There will still be a chance for some chuds later, but
there's some chuds over there in that gray bucket.
Heyo. Okay. I see the aloe plants in there too, which is awesome. Do you use that for cloning, or what are you using the aloe for?
They're just in here right now. I most certainly use aloe for cloning. I use it by the jug.
Okay.
Aloe is a key. Aloe and worm castings are key ingredients.
I just got some worm castings, and I feel like a bad person. Vermicompost, and I'll actually grab the bag here, sent me some of their worm castings a month and a half ago, and I'm like, dude, I have questions for you. I'd love to have you come on and explain worm castings and maybe the way that you use them. What are the benefits? How late do you use them? And I haven't compiled the list of questions for him yet, and I feel bad, but I'm gonna go grab that bag and I'll show that off here as you walk us through your garden here. This is
the outdoor little. I don't know if you can see what's going on here.
It's kind of freezing, to be honest. It's like a frozen, blurred picture of broccoli. Oh, there's your shirt. God, it is dark out there. Wow.
Hopefully I don't lose reception here.
Hopefully not. Well, it's okay if you do. If you do, I'm here, man. I got you. I cover you. Bermebeck. Ingresty. That's me trying to pronounce French. This actually has really good information.
See how fucked up they got?
I've seen worse.
The ones in the beds, the ones in the beds are recovering just fine. These three right here are your Westport grape juices, which sucks because they're recovering slow, but they
are those the S1s or are those the chuds?
I'm sorry, not Westport grape juice, the chuds. They're
okay.
When you send them to me, they were labeled Afghani 1 by Westport grape juice.
Yeah, I didn't name them yet. I wasn't expecting to actually put them out to the public, but
they look terrible right now. They were looking beautiful before I went to the hospital. I can tell you, they were gorgeous. But hopefully it'll recover. Not a big deal. I know how to get more seeds.
Yeah, you know where you could get some.
It's just kind of a fun outdoor experiment. I'm using I turn the light on at night to combat the cold outside, and of course the humidity fluctuation is a little bit of a challenge, but it's better than nothing. Something.
Yeah. Well, the humidity swings is something that gets me every year.
The walls of, I can't stop the walls of the tent from sweating because of the temp gradient.
Right. And that
inside,
that's a recipe for PM.
Not outside. Like that tent's literally outside.
Yeah, that's a recipe for PM. Real quick, the worm castings that I was gonna show, and actually I'm gonna do a show with the owners here soon. But the Reveg. There we go. No light on it, but yeah. So worm castings, again, it's got some good instructions here. It's a nice organic fertilizer. But if you guys have specific worm casting questions, hit me up on the DMs as well on Instagram. Because I'm compiling a list and I feel really bad because it should have been done a month ago, but I will get that list out to them sooner than later, hopefully. My Instagram is just takes a lot of time lately too, so I will look for your messages in there. Let's go ahead and pop up. Thank you for showing us the brief tour there. Get some plants, and it'll be good because, well, it'll be cool because when you come back, we'll show them, and you'll be like, "Same plants, really?" These plants are able to recover from a lot, which is pretty.
They
cool.
really are. They really are.
Yep. All right, let's do this final one. The S1s have won it. S1s have won it, which is going to be the Westport's posse. So if you are in the U.S. only, meaning no Mr. Magpie, Magpie rule is in effect, U.S. only. Just go ahead and type Westport's posse, and you can win some of those S1 testers. Testers have gone out to 50 people. They are being grown as we speak. A lot of people sending me pictures of taproots coming out and cotyledons popping above the soil, which I'm really excited. John, I think he's in week 3 of 4 of veg already with those. Trippy P, I think he's in week 4 as well of veg with these things. So a lot of good feedback. And I finished my grow out, a month, 2 ago now. That's another one of the videos I was meaning to upload this week, was the final video of the Westport Posse test run where I grew out 20 of them. So hopefully that'll be making it up to YouTube this week or in the next couple of weeks as well. I've got a backup of stuff because I wasn't allowed to post for a week. Boo. But I'm back. And we're posting again, so yes, that'll be fun. But yeah, so Hala, you also have, a YouTube channel yourself, and you like to hang out and kind of shoot the shit. And I saw Tony was on the other day, Big John as well, I believe.
I don't think
so you
Big
get
John's
to-
ever been on there, but Tony, just only a few people have been there. It was just somewhere, but anybody's welcome to come hang out anytime.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got that linked down in the show notes, but for people who maybe are interested in learning more about your art, or maybe seeing some of the other, the plants that you've been growing, where's good places for people to maybe find you or get a hold of you if they got some questions on this KNF stuff that you're talking about?
Man, YouTube. I mean, not YouTube. Instagram. My Holwachagot, I guess, would probably be okay, or YouTube would be all right. But
Okay,
most
cool.
yeah. That's the best place.
Okay.
I forgot you hadn't started the new comedy channel yet, because I had a good response to the question, and I'll save for that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll save it for that.
We're gonna save that one. Let's just
Family
I want to make sure
friendly.
the meds aren't working right now. We're moving
Oh,
my filter
God.
too much.
Oh man. Last time when I had knee surgery, I was doing a documentary, and yeah, there were some outtakes from that. I'll tell you that much. Holy shit. I had pain pill brain, but I had knee surgery, so it was appropriate.
I've got seizure med brain, and it's taking some getting used to. It's removed my filter. I'm turning into Honest Abe over here.
Well, I like you still, buddy.
Yeah, you don't have anything to worry about.
All right, let's see here. We've got 110 people in here for the Westport Posse. That's amazing. Yeah, that's a lot, man. People are turning out, showing out, and giving support. So much thanks.
That's awesome. That's more people that have showed up to my channel in grand total ever. Well, probably
maybe
is,
if you let people know about it, you're kind of secret squirrel. You're just like, yeah,
squirrel.
I have a channel. It's over there. It's it's cool. All right.
How do they get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you? They call my wife. What if they don't know your wife? They don't need to get a hold of me.
That's funny. I've been without a phone for 3 weeks, and I just got it back the other day. And I loved those 3 weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
They were laughing in the hospital. The hospital techs were laughing at my phone usage, my daily usage on my phone. Apparently, if you only use your phone for like 50 minutes a day, that's not much. To me, that's a long time. A whole fucking hour on your telephone.
Yeah. Well, hopefully people have spent 2 hours on their telephone this afternoon at least.
I hope so too, man.
Watching us talk shenanigans.
This has been a blast. This has been an honor. It's been an honor. I'm honored that you even invited me to come hang out with you, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. You are part of the FCP posse for life, where we're all connected whether we want to be or not. Magpie. Yeah. We're all down. We're all down. And another person too, who I haven't seen in a while. We need to get on here. The American one. Good to see you out there, buddy. It's been a minute since we've talked too, and it's been a minute since I've talked with Hala, which is why I was so excited to get you on today, because it's a great conversation every time. We just haven't done it. So I'm glad you're here.
Hear you while I'm thinking about it. Every single day when you wake up, you can turn on the TV. You might see that it'll be me and Fazoli, or just me by myself, just sitting here, nobody watching. Just pop in and burn one with me anytime you want. I usually delete them anyway. So, and apparently now that I have to have somebody watching me, it's kind of convenient just to have a live stream going and somebody hanging out with me.
That's awesome. I have a weird thing for doing that sometimes. As my YouTube algorithm pops up, it'll be like 2 people are watching the Thailand national ping pong tournament. I'll be like, 2 people? Let's make that 3.
Let's make it
I'll
3.
watch weird shit. I'll watch weird shit for like I just need to kill 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna watch some curling from the fucking golf club in Minnesota. Literally was watching that one the other day too. Okay, nobody cares about that. Let's give away some
That's
beans.
hilarious, dude.
Good luck, everybody. Here we go. Again, US only. And if you do win, just hit me up on IG. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Cody Rose.
Nice.
Congratulations, Cody Rose. I will write you down, Cody Rose, for the Westport's posse. All right, I've got that down. So again, R. McNasty, Vance Tillum, Cody Rose, just hit me up on my IG, and I will be getting some stuff out to you next week. So thank you for playing. Thanks everybody for playing. We will definitely have more opportunities in the future. Every 2 weeks, we go live with the Best Grow Show, and that's when we're doing it. If you
I'll have
are
stickers in your hand for your next shows, Chad. So from moving forward, you'll always have fish stickers to give away to any seed winners you want to give them to.
well, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that.
I'll send them to you this week.
Nice. I love stickers. I think everybody else loves stickers still too. Magpie. There you go, bro. Send me the check in the mail. Yeah, I know he keeps asking, so I'm like, I'll humor him.
He's my buddy. I'll give him a hair flip. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. That's all right. I'm gonna get a hold of you after this show, Magpie. So watch out for a profanity-laced email here in a second. Just because I like that.
I can't get my hair out. It's still glued together from the EKG wax. It's got to be cut loose.
Oh no! At least you don't have like a bald patch in your head. I remember last time my buddy got in a car accident and they had to do a few things, and I went to the hospital and visited him, and it's like half of it's shaved. He just looks at me. He's like, "Don't say it." I'm like, "All right, I won't bust your balls."
I canceled the appointment. I had an appointment Friday to go get the dreads cut out. I had to cancel the appointment. I'm not prepared. We go this week and do it.
Yeah. Well, I did see Cheddar Bob in the chat earlier. I doubt he's here still, but his prediction for 2024 was 2023 is I would have dreads by the end of the year. So.
Oh man, I got him. I got one dread. Matter of fact, I could take this hat off and shave my head, and I would get another beanie. That's what I would end up with in my hand, another beanie.
There you go.
Yeah,
right
Rico
on.
for president. I'll second Rico for president.
Rico's awesome. Big ups, Rico. He's in here. Yep. Much love to all, he says. And This is true. Much love to all. Holla, I always like to give guests the last words before we sign out. So the floor is yours, my friend. Anything you want to say that's family friendly, go for it.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Chad. And much love to everybody. Hold what you got.
Holla. I gotta start saying hold what you got.
Hold what you got.
Holla to me. You're holla to me. Holla.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
All right. It's better to be a holla than a hole. A holla than an a-hole. So yes. And last question. Guerrero Grows, did Chad condition today? No, dude, it's been a few days, so I should probably get on it. But thank you for tuning in, Chris. I hope you're having a good day.
My tongue. I just bit my tongue, Guerrero.
Uh-oh. All right. We're going to get out of here before this.
Roast your host. Stay tuned for Roast Your Host.
Oh, shoot. All right, guys. You heard it here first. Thanks for tuning in. Come back in 2 weeks. We're going to do it again. Party on, everybody. We will catch you next time. Hit the cue.
1, 2, Westport.